Okay, hey everyone, to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have a really awesome review for you from the brand HEA Designs. Their founder Sam is also into watches and is a viewer of the channel, which I thought was really cool. All of their products are designed, prototyped, dialed in, and QA'd, and to include being packed here in the US. While they're custom machined to their detailed specifications internationally via partners across the US, Asia, and Europe. Now, this particular type of knife I'd consider an EDC folding utility knife. Some key common characteristics and design language you're looking for something like this. You're really going to be looking for, of course, that pocketable size and a nice versatile blade in terms of the geometry. This is the model called the Chief, and it's pretty much a long-awaited follow-up to their original Hunter design. So if you were thinking about this, it'd be kind of the same village, different knife, restyled and reworked with ease of everyday use in mind. It's available in either a carbon fiber variation or a full titanium show side scale, opposite the standard titanium frame lock, which is going to be on the other side of the knife. Great news for you guys is the cost on this one is really quite affordable at only $239 direct, which I think is quite a deal considering the details, and of course the fact that we're supporting, although not 100% produced in the US, it is designed in the US, and I find lately I've noticed there's actually a good amount of production that happens in the US but is for parts that are designed overseas, or I should say knives that are designed overseas, from international designers. So there's the other side of that coin is American designers that are having things produced elsewhere. I think it's still supporting American, so I'm happy to do that. With all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, now before I grab that customary wristwatch check, today we do have the Boulder Expedition, and this is the first gen reissue, so that's why you can see this gorgeous matching bracelet here, fully articulated 3-link setup, milled clasp, etc. 200 meters of water resistance. Definitely check this piece out if you're interested in it. In the channel history, it's a very EDC friendly and EDCable style of watch. I think the Boulder brand in general really kind of key into that aesthetic of just premium kit, where you're getting a lot of form meets function. But speaking of form meets function, check this puppy out. What a looker. So you can get these for $239. Again, some of you are probably thinking $239 for a knife, that's pretty expensive. And some of you are like, $239 for a knife, that's actually really affordable. So there's a wide range, just like with watches, in terms of what people will consider quote unquote affordable. Now the blade on here is S35VN. It has a nice drop point, it's flat ground, I think pretty nicely thinly ground, while still having enough thickness to where it's definitely very sturdy and very strong, even going all the way down to that tip. You are getting this nice ceramic bead blast with a light stonewash finish on the blade, and I have to say I think this is a first for me. I'm really enjoying this finish. It has a really nice kind of matte satiny look to it, but definitely very nice for a user because it's going to hide a lot of that wear and tear just because of the way that it's finished. Same goes for the handle here. It's full grade 5 titanium. It does have a stainless steel lock insert, which also serves for an over travel stop, so really nice from that perspective. Milled pocket clip, nice steel standoffs there, milled pocket clip at that, which is deeper carry, not quite deep carry, but on the deeper carry side, which I can absolutely appreciate. And then you are getting this nice lightly textured with kind of a darker bead blast, and then a light stone wash over that bead blast to just make this thing look a little bit worn in, which is nice, but it's also going to pick up, you know, in terms of snail trails or, you know, just being in your pocket with your keys or anything like that. It's actually going to be pretty well worn. It has a nice kind of stone-like finish to it. And who's ever seen a stone and thought, man, that thing looks beat? So this is really going to hide that. One thing though I'd say is on the other side of that, because it's not, you know, meant to have a super pristine sharp look in terms of the finishing either on the blade or on the handle, you might miss out on some of this the fine contouring that's done here, guys. Look at these edges. There's nothing that's sharp that shouldn't be sharp. That's something that you always got to look out for. Look at the little beveling there, contouring nice and rounded. If you take a look at this piece at various angle, really nicely done. So a lot of attention to detail and definitely very specific in terms of the specs on this piece and executed very well. So the dimensions here, guys, I think fall within kind of that sweet spot, a little bit under 7 inches at 6.68 inches long altogether, and then the blade is just under 3 inches at about 2.85. Closed length, you're going to be closer to around 4 inches, right about, I'd say 3.94, and then the weight about 3.1 ounces. And then, yeah, that's right. Action. Not super, you know, in terms of drop shuttiness, but it's also a short blade and it's not super heavy or anything like that. So I don't think it really needs to, you know, just kind of slam shut on its own, but you can do a little wiggle and a shake and it'll drop down. But very nice to, you know, in hand, guys. The ergonomics there, very nice, small, but still fits the hand really well. Very smooth, fast action, you know, quite snappy to open and then to close. Nice and smooth there, not a lot of resistance. I think it has a really nicely dialed in detent, which is using a ceramic ball. So you are going to get, you know, pretty much all the goodies on paper. And it's very satisfying to flip. It definitely works best for me, at least as a front flipper. And when you're gonna flip it, it doesn't have you know, one of those really tough front flips where you're gonna have to kind of figure it out. You can pretty much kind of go forward on it, or you can go more of like a strike of a lighter or something like that type of style over. I wouldn't probably pull from here. You could, but it's just, you know, in terms of finger placement and whatnot, a little less stable. And then I'm sure some of you guys can probably spidey flick and do all the cool stuff. I'm not that guy. Like, I can't do that. For me, what I would use this opening hole for is just to do a slow roll type of open. So you can just open it, you know, let's say you gotta cut the balloon strings at a kid's party. That's always my example for when you gotta deploy a knife without scaring anybody. You know, so you can do that nice slow open if you'd like. And it definitely works. And man, I gotta say, I really can appreciate that, you know, it's, although this is the show side, even the lock side is really quite handsome. Of course, you know, the bolt doesn't quite line up the same way it does on this side. That would have been a nice touch here, but I get that that's extra work for something that really, you know, isn't going to mean a lot to a lot of people. But yeah, very nice, guys. In the pocket, lays really flat, unobtrusive, quite compact. And you can see the nice thing is it's quite round. Also, since it doesn't have a traditional flipper tab here sticking out, it's not going to be bumping into anything in your pocket. And it is relatively thin, so it's not going to take up a lot of space. It's not going to feel like you're carrying a lot. It's just a nice usable piece. You got a decent amount of belly on that blade, so you know, quite useful from an EDC usability standpoint for utility purposes. Different grasps, fits in the hand still pretty nicely there. I can still wrap, and my fingers have places to rest. They're not really searching. And then you can even get into maybe some more EDC style grasps, and you'd be ready to go. So really nice, guys. I gotta say, this is it's just a really well designed piece. It feels great in the hand, and yeah, I think stylistically it is actually quite handsome. And I'm not normally a big fan of, this, kind of having an opening. The Spidey holes are nice and whatnot. This is more like kind of like, I'd say almost like an open fuller. I think I might have preferred it if it had just been some type of fuller style, but I'll say that, this is pretty iconic to the particular model. So there's no reason. I think it looks a lot cooler closed with that piece right there. I think, of course, if they had a fuller there instead, it would serve the same purposes functional wise, and I think aesthetically maybe look a little bit cooler, but I'm not a knife designer, but I think that could look pretty cool. What else? Model variations. This is also, again, available with a carbon fiber show scale, so pretty much the same knife. But then on this side of the knife, you're going to have a carbon fiber scale versus it being the full titanium that's here. And this is, pretty substantial slab of titanium, although it does have the outer contouring. It's not pocketed or milled on the inside. It's not like they did any extra weight savings or anything like that. So you are going to feel quite a difference, I'm sure, when you swap out to the carbon fiber model, if that's your thing and you're like, oh, I really love to just kind of have that lighter carry, something that's going to feel like you can kind of forget about it in the pocket kind of deal. Or if you're trying to really bug out with it and you really are trying to save every ounce, then that would be the way to go. For me, I really enjoy this full titanium build here. It just feels more premium. I dig the very monochromatic look here, the kind of the gray on gray. It just flows really well, and again, ties in to stuff like this sweet little watch here. So let me think, what else in terms of comparable options against this, guys? There's a lot of front flipping TI frame locks with S35VN around this price point, and even slightly under this price point. But you can't say that without saying, yeah, there's also some that are more expensive. But for me, it's the fine details and the just that the attention to details, like the contouring, the bevels. Again, when you get to up close with this piece and you just pay attention to every little edge and everywhere your hand could brush or rest or rub against, and there's just an extra level of care and an extra level of thought that clearly has been executed, guys, because they didn't have to add these little micro bevels. You see that playing with the light there? Just that little chamfer there that's going to soften those edges. You got a little relief here so that if you do, you're really obsessed with that, you could flick it out if you wanted to. Or, if you're really, one of these types of guys, you could do that. If you're a real Spidey flick aficionado. Very cool, and again, it looks nice closed, which I can appreciate, and then it looks great. I think for me, even on both sides, I like the way that the lines kind of follow here, and it's kind of running parallel just underneath where the lock is. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to have any crossover with the lock bar because it already has the lock bar insert here. So it's not going to be titanium on steel. It's going to be steel on steel. And then you get the, of course, the over travel stop. So you can't overextend and make this too loose or, really mess up that detent. So for me, guys, bottom line with this one is it just gives off some great kind of custom vibes, which I can appreciate. Although it is, you know, through the cost of a production knife, which is great. It's simple, clean, and versatile, and I'm digging this one. I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys. Big ups to Sam over at HEA Designs. Hopefully he enjoyed the review, because I definitely enjoyed this knife. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do hit like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.